เราตั้งไว้3 ที่ในตัวเราไว้3 ที่มันจะไม่วุ่นวาย
So the best way to cope is that you should recognize how you abide in these 3 places within your body.
ตาญาณที่บริสุทธิ์เรารักษาไว้ประจำตาญาณข้างบน
all these places it's not physical, but it has some corresponding location in your body. The first one is the tayan or wisdom eyes, or sometimes called pure consciousness. The correlating location is in the behind your third eye, like right between your eyebrow inside your head. So abide in this area, in the upper area of your head.
ต่ำลงมาการที่2เป็นใจหัวหน้าธรรมทั้งหมด
And the next location, the next abiding place of the mind is in the area kind of like around your throat. It's called mano or jai. It is the head or the forerunner of all the dharma. This is the area where you have the best discernment quality.
ตามลงไปอีกที่3เป็นจิตเป็นที่รวมทั้งหมด
The last area is the third one is the area near your heart, in the middle of your body. This is the general area where the chitta or the mind resides. It's the mind that this mind has everything. It's the source of our memory, our thoughts, our impulses.
ส่วนขันธ์5เป็นที่รวมของธรรมขันธ์ทั้งหมด 42,000 พระธรรมขันธ์
And our body and mind, which is or the 5 aggregates of the body, vedana, feeling, sensation, sanya, memory, perceptions, sankhara, mental volition, mental fabrication, and the consciousness, which is the awareness. These are 5 aggregates, which are the location where all the teachings of the Buddha, 40,000 of them can be found within this body and mind, within these 5 aggregates.
สัญญาเป็นผู้บันทึกไว้ทั้งหมด
So our sanya or memory, perceptions, function of the 3rd aggregates recorded all our experience.
สังขาร3อย่างปรุงอยู่ตลอด
And then within this body and mind, the 3 types of sankhara or 3 types of mental fabrication, good and bad and neither good nor bad, they're always working, stirring up inside of us.
ปุญญาสังขารปรุงเรื่องบุญเรื่องดีทั้งหมด
Punyapi sankhara, this is wholesome sankhara. It will let us fabricate, proliferate, or thinking in the wholesome way, thinking in the positive way.
ปุญญาสังขารปรุงเรื่องบาปทั้งหมด
And likewise, the apunyapi sankhara, the unwholesome mental fabrication, will proliferate, make us think of negativities, make us think of something unwholesome.
อเนชาเป็นสังขารปรุงเรื่องญาณเรื่องฌานเรื่องอิทธิทั้งหมด
And the 3rd types of sankhara, anenchapi sankhara, it led us to proliferate into stillness. It likes meditation is like to have stillness in jhana practice.
สังขารทั้งสามปรุงไป11ภูมิ
These three types of sankhara or mental volitions is that which lead us to have the mental states of beings in 31 realms of existence, and in consequences, it led beings to be reborn in one of the 31 realms of existence based on the kind of mental volition that you're familiar with.
มนุษย์1สวรรค์6พรหม23อย่าง
So what are the 31 realms of existence? The human realm is one. There are 6 heavenly realms. There are 20 Brahma realms and 4 lower realms.
อบายภูมิ4ทำให้สัตว์ได้รับกรรมรับเวรรับบาปวุ่นวายเป็นทุกข์
So the 4 lower realms, which include hell realm, hungry ghost realm, animal realm, and demon realms, these are places where beings who had to experience difficulties and difficult experience, unpleasant experience based on their own conditions.
เราควรอยู่กับญาณพุทธะให้มากที่สุด
We should abide as much and as frequently as possible in the jhana, the pure awareness, which is it's the same awareness of the Buddha. It's the pure awareness which is we call Buddha.
ญาณพุทธะตาญาณรู้ตื่นเบิกบานอยู่ตลอด
So the seeing qualities of the Buddha or the awakened one, the pure awareness, which is in the area located in behind the third eye that we talked about, that is the kind of abiding that will let you access to the awakening quality, the pure awareness quality. It's allow one to have access to wisdom, to be awakened, to be happy and joyful.
ถ้าเป็นฝ่ายบาปเกิดขึ้นเราเว้นทั้งหมดไม่ทำตามทั้งหมด
Notice if and whenever the unwholesome sankhara is being active in your citta, in the third area, do not be swayed by them, do not follow them. They may present some ideas, but you don't have to say yes to those.
เมื่อฝ่ายบุญเกิดขึ้นเราต้องแยกอาจจะทำให้เราหลงได้
If the mind, the citta is presenting wholesome sankhara, wholesome proliferation, you have to be able to discern. Some of them maybe it's good to carry on, but some of them may not be appropriate and may lead to attachment. Even attachment in the wholesome is not necessarily good.
เลือกเอาที่เป็นประโยชน์ตนและผู้อื่นใช้
Well, a good criteria to decide whether you would let your wholesome sankhara act out, to be carried out into the world, is to ask yourself whether it is beneficial to anyone. Is it beneficial to me? Is it beneficial to others?
จะไม่ผิดพลาดไม่เสียใจภายหลัง
That way you will not make a mistake.
ถ้าผิดแล้วมันเศร้าหมอง
Because when you make a mistake, you do something that you regret later, then it become then it brings down your mind. Your mind for the best practice should be uplifting.
ญาณบริสุทธิ์เป็นที่ตั้งไปตลอด
So abide in this area of the pure knowing or the jnana always as much as possible.
3 อย่างนี้ญาณใจจิต เราตั้งไว้ อย่าให้รวมกันเป็นเราทั้งหมด
So be very aware of these 3 things, 3 abiding place where you might be operate out of. From the tayan, the wisdom eyes on the top, and the mano, or we call jai in Thai, in the throat area, and then the chitta in the heart area. Do not see that they are not you. If they are just functions that function naturally, don't let them come together and create the identity of self.
ถ้ารวมกันแล้วเปลี่ยนภพภูมิเร็วมากทำไม่ทัน
If you don't distinguish these 3 and let them kind of come into one and become murky, you don't know where you are operating out of, it's easy to get carried away. And when you get carried away, what you actually doing is you creating another becoming, another identity in your mind, and condition yourself to have an existence in another form of existence, maybe lower, maybe higher, but those are not the path you should go.
เมื่อญาณบริสุทธิ์อยู่สติเร็วมากสามารถตัดสินได้ทุกเรื่อง
When you abide in the pure awareness, your mindfulness or your sati would be very active and alert. It will be very quick to be able to make the right discernment, to rule with wisdom what is appropriate to carry on or not.
ส่วนจิตนั้นเราไว้ดูเรื่องอดีตต่างๆอยู่ในจิตมาพิจารณาได้เลือกได้
The chitta has its own functions. So for example, if you need to recollect anything in the past, if maybe you want to reflect on some experience or some learning, you need to involve the chitta.
ปุถุชนเราคือจิตจิตคือเราเป็นเราหมดทุกอย่าง
But the problem is the ordinary people don't know how to distinguish. So they take everything that come up from the chitta as me and mine. Whatever the chitta tells them to do, they will do it without without discernment.
อริยะอยู่ที่ญาณบริสุทธิ์ส่วนเดียว
In contrast, the noble one, the Arya, they abide in the pure knowing for all the time, majority of the time.
ลักษณะของญาณว่างใสบริสุทธิ์3 อย่าง
The quality of the wisdom eyes or the tayan, these are empty, clear, and pure. So if you abide in this quality of emptiness, clarity, and purity, then you are abiding more in the tayan.
ฝึกให้ชำนาญในธรรมอริยะเอาไว้
So train your mind, train yourself to abide in the area of the noble one.
ถ้าทำโลกิยะโลภโกรธหลง3 อย่างนี้เกิดขึ้นเราอย่าเพิ่งทำตามทั้งหมด
Whenever the worldly emotions, the worldly impulses that is involved, greed, hatred, and delusion occur, within your mind. Do not follow those impulses.
ทิฏฐิมานะอุปาทานเป็นธรรมฝ่ายต่ำ
The sense of attachment in your own view, attachment of view, conceit, also these are unwholesome dharma, unwholesome quality.
ญาณปัญญาเป็นธรรมฝ่ายสูง
The jnana, the pure ability to see things clearly, pure seeing, having wisdom, these are the wholesome or higher quality in opposite to attachment to view and having strong conceit or clinging of self or ideas.
สติมหาสติเป็นปัญญาญาณ
The mindfulness, the practice of sati or mindfulness and sustained mindfulness, mahasati, that is the condition. It's the panyayana that leads to wisdom seeing, clear wisdom.
สูงขึ้นเป็นปัญญาวิมุตติเหมือนใบบัวไม่ติดน้ำ
And the more you abide in that, it will evolve into the wisdom that leads to liberation, panya vimutti. It's the kind of wisdom that nothing can attach to. No matter what happened, the mind abide separately and do not get clouded by what happened.
ไฟ3 กองไม่ลุกขึ้นมาเผาเราให้ร้อนได้
So the panya vimutti is like the lotus leaf that the water may be rolling around in the lotus leaf, but it never absorbs anything, or it's kind of like a non-stick pan. So when you abide in panya vimutti, you may be living in the world, but the greed, hatred, and delusion of the world doesn't stick. So you can just see what happened, let it pass.
สถานที่นั้นจำเป็นเพียงเล็กน้อยแต่สติมหาสตินั้นสำคัญมาก
สถานที่จำเป็นเล็กน้อยเหรอคะ
เล็กน้อยแค่อาศัยของร่างกายร่างกายอาศัยสถานที่
หมายความว่าเราจะอยู่ที่ไหนก็ไม่สำคัญเท่าไหร่หรือเปล่าคะหรือว่าสถานที่ที่3 อย่างที่หลวงพ่อพูดมา
ใช่แล้ว
สถานที่3 อย่างไม่สำคัญแต่สติสำคัญที่สุด
ใช่คือสถานที่นี่เราเปลี่ยนได้เราหลบได้หลีกได้เว้นได้
หมายความว่าจะอยู่ที่ตายานหรือว่ามโนอะไรอย่างนี้ไม่สำคัญ
ถ้าอยู่ที่ตายานตลอดแล้วมาดูมโนคือตัวใจที่สั่งให้จิตสมองทำงาน
So the location is actually if it's confusing, you don't have to worry so much about it. The most important thing is you abide in sati, in mindfulness, in sustained mindfulness at all times. If you can become aware of the location, that's great. You can kind of use it as another way to not let yourself get entangled by the unwholesome, but it's at the end it's sati, mindfulness, and it's amount to the same thing, which is sati and mahasati.
โลกวิญญาณใช้จิตกับสังขาร2 อย่าง
So the world of the unseen, of the vijnana, for those beings who have no body, they rely on the citta and sankhara. They still have the mind and mental proliferations.
โลกมนุษย์ใช้สังขารและสมองด้วย
But us in a human form, we also had to deal with the brain.
เราจะพูดทำอะไรทุกอย่างให้มีสติพร้อมอยู่ที่ท้ายทอยก่อนให้อยู่ที่ข้างหลังทั้งสองข้าง
And no matter, so as you are carrying out thought into actions, it requires the brain to be involved. And the area, this is where the mano can supervising what command we send to the brain. So that center of the brain we should be mindful of is in the back of our skull, kind of like above the neck, where the neck joining the skull.
สมองมันที่สั่งกายทั้งหมดร่างกายทำตามสมองจะพูดจะทำทุกอย่างอยู่ที่สมอง
The brain is required in order to send any commands to the body. So once you, whether to have this body say something, to act something, take any actions, the mind has to go through to the brain to send commands to the body.
สติปัญญาไปรวมอยู่ที่สมองทั้งหมด
So at the same time, our mindfulness, our wisdoms can also culminate in our brain.
ส่วนจิตนั้นเป็นที่รวมของสัญญาทุกทั้งอดีตอนาคตปัจจุบันไปรวมที่เดียวที่จิต
So the mind or the chitta is the center for sanya or memories. Whether it's the memory from the past, the present, how we interpret the world, it's all in the chitta.
เมื่อจิตสมองสติสั่งการได้ดีแล้วนำสุขมาให้
So when we have mindfulness, that's stream and being able to discern what we take action on in this body, we will have happiness.
ฝึกให้ญาณอยู่กับอนัตตาบ่อยๆเราจะได้ปัญญามาก
And train your jnana, the wisdom eyes, to abide in the quality of anatta often. That would help you be able to gain more wisdom.
อัตตาอุปาทานมาก
If you have a lot of sense of self and attachment and clinging to all these five khanda as self,
อนัตตาไม่มีอุปาทาน
So the sense of self is full of attachment, is full of clinging, but the anatta, which is the opposite to atta, is the opposite to having the sense of self, has no attachment and clinging.
ธาตุทั้ง6ธาตุเราอยู่ในธาตุรู้ให้มากที่สุด
And between all the elements that this body is made out of, one of the practices to see the elements: earth, water, fire, air, and space, and consciousness. The consciousness is the element that you should spend more time in.
ดินน้ำไฟลมอากาศเป็นธาตุชีวิต
Earth, water, air, fire, and space. These are physical elements that support physical life, physical forms.
วิญญาณธาตุเป็นธาตุรู้เป็นกลาง
the vijnana or consciousness element is the knowing element. It is a neutral element.
เมื่อธาตุเป็นกลางมากธาตุจะไม่เดือดร้อนวุ่นวายเสียหาย
When your elements are neutral, it's balanced, and then will not create disruption. You'll be able to live with peace.
เมื่อญาณบริสุทธิ์จะพูดจะทำทุกอย่างออกมาด้วยความบริสุทธิ์
When you abide in the pure awareness, that the purity of the awareness will be carried out into your action, into your words. And so whatever you say, whatever you perform, do, take action in, will be pure, will be wholesome, and will not cause damage.
ถ้าญาณอยู่กับจิตแล้วความบริสุทธิ์ไม่สมบูรณ์
If you abide in the citta and not the jhana, the purity will always be tainted. So it's best not to do that.
กิจของตากิจของญาณสองอย่างนี้เป็นตัวมหาสติ
The duties of the work of the eyes, what we see, and the duties of the jhana, to be able to see things with wisdom. These are the elements of sustained mindfulness or mahasati.
จักขุกรณีญาณกรณีจักขุตาญาณขายาณนิญาณจักขุกรณีจิตของตาที่เห็นญาณกรณีจิตของญาณที่รู้
The Buddha has said, he talked about Jakku Karani, Jnana Karani in his first teaching. Jakku Karani is the work or the duty of the eyes to see. And then Jnana Karani is the work or the duty of the jnana to know with wisdom, to know with truth.
รู้กับเห็นเห็นกับรู้ทำให้จิตบริสุทธิ์ได้
When you see as well as know, and know the truth of what you see, that can help purify the mind.
เอาอนัตตาเป็นหลักไว้มันจะไม่มีอุปาทานขันธ์ขึ้นมาเป็นตัวตนว่าเรา
Abide in the knowing of the anatta, in the knowledge of the three characteristics of existence, especially anatta, the non-self, the truth, the characteristic of everything, of all the experience. That if you abide in anatta, then it will not support the sense of self or atta. You will be able to you will not get in trouble with all the changes condition of the world.
อุปาทานขันธ์ทั้งห้าเป็นตัวทุกข์ถ้าเราแยกออกรู้ตัวเดียวไม่ทุกข์
So the five aggregates, the body, feeling, memory, thoughts, and the consciousness or the awareness, when they come together, they are, dukkha. They are troublesome. They create stress. If you can stay apart, if the consciousness, which is to know, the pure awareness, can stay apart from all the other khandhas and not taking all the other khandha as self, then you will not get in trouble. You will not be stressed about anything.
ฝึกให้เป็นนิสัยแล้วก็ฝึกบ่อยๆเป็นอุปนิสัยจะอยู่ได้ตลอด
You have to train your mind, train yourself to abide in this fashion, and so that you create, so it become a habit, and from the habit, then it become a deeper part of your making. Upanisai is going deeper, and that will be supportive for you in this life and any lives.
นิสยปัจจโยอุปนิสยปัจจโยสองปัจจัย
So there is a Pali word that says in that Upanisaya Pattayo. So all these the habit which leads to the deep conditioning, it's become causes and conditions of our self in the future.
เพื่อได้ตัดนิวรณ์ธรรมฝ่ายต่ำออกให้หมด
And it can also be causes and conditions to be for us to be able to relinquish for example, the 5 hindrances. They can cut through the 5 hindrances when we train ourselves in this fashion.
เมื่อเปลี่ยนนิสัยเป็นอุปนิสัยแล้วมันจะยั่งยืนไปตลอด
When we can train ourselves to generate new good habits and let that habit become like our second nature, it will be the benefit that you will receive from that. It's long lasting. It's gonna carry on with you no matter where you go.
มรรคสี่ผลสี่นิพพานหนึ่งอยู่ที่เราตลอดไป
The 4 paths toward enlightenment and the 4 level of fruits of the enlightenment and nibbana, and which is the final destination, will be with us always. So no matter where we are, what we do, if we can have this new habit as second nature, we can never stray from the path.
มรรคสี่โสดาปัตติมรรคสกิทาคามิมรรคอนาคามรรคอรหัตมรรคผลสี่พระโสดาปัตติผลสกิทาคามิผลอนาคามิผลอรหัตผลอรหันต์นี่ไม่มีแต่ผลล้วนๆไม่มีมรรคแล้ว
So the 4 paths are Sotapanna Magga. So the path toward the first level of enlightenment, which is called stream enter. And then second is the Sakatakami Magga, or the path toward the second level of enlightenment, called Sakatami, or the once enter. And the third level is the Anakami Magga, or the path toward the third level of enlightenment, Anakami or non-returner. And the fourth one is the path toward Arahat. These are completely, fully enlightened beings. And then there's 4 fruits, that 4 corresponding fruits. The fruits of the Sotapanna Phala, the fruits of Sakatakami or Sakatakami Phala, the fruit of Anakami or Anakami Phala, and Arahata Phala, the fruit of being Arahat. And then the final one is the Nibbana, the final Nibbana, that doesn't even have half of fruit.
ฝึกญาณให้เป็นสติฝึกสติให้เป็นมหาสติฝึกมหาสติให้เกิดปัญญา
So you train your jhana to have sati. So you abide in the jhana to train the sati, and from the sati train it, make it sustain to become mahasati. From mahasati, use mahasati to train yourself to have yan panya, to have wisdom, the knowing wisdom.
ฝึกปัญญาญาณให้เป็นปัญญาวิมุตติหลุดพ้นทุกอย่างที่เกิดหลุดไปได้ทุกอย่าง
and train your yana panya, the knowing wisdom, to become the liberating wisdom. This liberating wisdom will let you being able to be free from any condition inside or outside. You will not get caught. You will be very free and happy.
ทำจำนวนมากให้เหลือ5ประจำไว้5อย่าง
So, simplify things. Whatever, there are many things that we're dealing with. Just simplify it to these 5 things.
รู้เห็นปฏิบัติละวิมุตติหลุดพ้น
รู้ is to know, เห็น is to see, ปฏิบัติ is to practice, ละ is to let go, and vimutti is to liberation. Liberation here meaning that your mind is like the lotus leaf, a non-stick pan, doesn't get caught with anything anymore. You don't get upset with things anymore.
พยายามให้เหลือ1ธาตุรู้ตัวเดียวอันเดียวมันจะได้อยู่ในปัญญาที่บริสุทธิ์
or you boil it further into just one element is just the pure awareness, abiding in just the pure awareness. It's the same thing.
ต่อไปมีใครจะถามอะไรบ้างที่สงสัยอยู่จะได้ให้หมดสงสัยไป
หลวงพ่อคะเหลือ1ก็คืออยู่กับคำตัวรู้อย่างเดียวนี้ก็เหมือนกับ5อย่างที่หลวงพ่อพูดไปใช่ไหมคะ
ได้
ละถึงวิมุตติเลย
ให้ถึงวิมุตติไว้เพื่อให้ญาณบริสุทธิ์เอาไว้
Because essentially, if you are abiding in the wisdom, liberating wisdom, your yana, your wisdom will be pure, which is the same as saying that abiding in the pure wisdom.
เมื่อฝึกจนเป็นมหาสติแล้วเราจะเบาสบาย
Once you can train yourself to have sustained awareness, your body will feel light, your mind will be light and happy.
อยู่ที่การฝึกให้เป็นมหาสตินั่นดีสุดยอดของวิปัสสนา
So Mahasati is the best of Vipassana. That's basically the culminations of Vipassana is Mahasati, to be able to have sustained mindfulness.
ในศัพท์เรียกวิเศษถึงหลุดพ้นได้ปัสสนารู้แจ้งละได้ปล่อยได้วางได้
The word Vipassana is a compound words. The word we mean special or something very special, and then Passana means to see. So Vipassana meaning that to be able to see in a special way, see things clearly.
ส่วนใหญ่นึกว่าบุญบารมีเราไม่พอและตัดตัวเองไม่เอาไม่ทำอันนั้นคือเข้าใจผิดเราต้องสะสมให้มากขึ้น
สะสมโดยการทำเหรอคะหลวงพ่อ
ทำให้เกิดปัญญาสูงขึ้นแล้วมันถึงเองในปัจจุบันนี้ไม่ต้องรออดีตชาติไม่ต้องรอชาติหน้า
A lot of people feel discouraged before they even practice that, oh, maybe I don't have enough merit, enough good karma to be able to practice in this life. That is not true. You just need to put your mind and commitment into practicing. If you keep walking the path, it will eventually get there, and you don't have to wait for your circumstances to change or to have another life.
พระพุทธเจ้าค้นฟ้าทุกอย่างส่วนเรานี้ได้มรดกแล้วไม่จำเป็นทุกอย่างทำแต่จิตเราให้สงบให้เจริญปัญญาให้มากเท่านั้นคือหน้าที่พวกเรา
The Buddha has paved the way for all of us. He spent so much time to discover the Dhamma, and now he made the Dhamma available to all of us. So we don't have to do that hard work. Our job is to follow the Buddha's teaching. Okay, there was a question about practice that the meditator say that, you know, when sometimes the mind go into the third eye area naturally, but sometimes when I try to bring the awareness into the third eye area, it creates some tension. Doesn't seem to be productive. Can you please advise? And Luang Por said, well, when you are trying, that's already mean you already go down to the citta. So the advice is then how to abide in the third eye. It had to happen kind of naturally. So Luang Por said the best way is to go back to abide in sati and mahasati, and then the awareness in the third eye area will occur naturally.
จิตบุรุชนลงต่ำสุดยะหิโนคัมโมปุถุจานิโกหิโนแปลว่าต่ำช้าคัมโมลงในคันปุถุจานิโกอยู่ในเขตของปุถุชนแน่นหนานั้นปุถุชนอริยะยกจิตขึ้นไว้ที่ตายานข้างบน
อันนี้ที่เขาเรียกยกจิตสู่พระไตรลักษณ์นะคะ
ยกจิตขึ้นสู่พระไตรลักษณ์
So the ordinary people, their mind is tend to be down in the citta and some down even further. That's what the unlearned, like people, ordinary people who doesn't practice. So for Ariya or those who are wise, there is a term lifting awareness into the Tayan, lifting the awareness by seeing the three characteristics of anicca, dukkha, and anatta.
เห็นรูปธรรมนามธรรมเป็นธรรมชาติธรรมดาไม่ใช่เรา
Seeing, they're lifting the awareness by seeing the truth of the nature that these are just things that is anatta, that there's a physical form, mental form, but at the end there is no self in any of these forms.
ให้เหลือผู้รู้กับผู้ถูกรู้สองอย่างสัมปชานโนสติมารู้สึกกับรู้แจ้งรู้ผู้รู้กับผู้ถูกรู้สองอย่าง
So you bring the awareness into just these two categories, that which is being seen and the awareness that's seeing those conditions. The thing that the mind can perceive, or the awareness can perceive, may be form, it may be as fine as thoughts, emotion, impulses, but it has nothing to do with the awareness, the pure awareness that perceive all these things.
ผู้รู้ไม่ใช่เรารู้ ผู้ถูกรู้ไม่ใช่ตัวเราผู้รู้
That which is aware, or that which perceives, or that which knows, it's also not self. It's just the functions of the awareness that occur naturally. And that which is being perceived, or that which is being seen, or that which is being known, also are just functions of phenomenon in this world that occur naturally. Both are not self.
เมื่อทำได้เป็นมหาสติแล้วมันจะเกิดปัญญาอยู่ตลอด
When you can do that, practice seeing that way until it becomes the way of seeing with mindfulness. That is sati, and become your habit as mahasati. It will allow you to have the wisdom to see things as they are with panya all the time.
เรียกว่าปัญญาปัญญาญาณปัญญาวิมุตติสามอย่าง ปัญญารู้แจ้งเห็นจริงปัญญาญาณญาณรู้เห็นปัญญาวิมุตติหลุดด้วยปัญญาญาณสูงสุด
So that is what the three types of wisdom: panya, panyayana, panya vimutti. So starting with wisdom, and the wisdom and clear seeing, and the wisdom that leads to freedom from suffering.
เรียกอยู่ในธรรมห้าอย่างสติมหาสติปัญญาปัญญาญาณปัญญาวิมุตติ
So you can say that the practice is to abide in these five qualities, or to develop these five qualities from sati to develop mahasati, develop wisdom or panya. And then from wisdom and panya, you try to develop panyayana, wisdom of clear seeing. And then seeing, from then you try to develop panya vimutti, wisdom of liberating. Okay, so to summarize, the path is just started by practicing mindfulness, sati. And then when you start to be able to practice sati without gaps, be mindful more and more, that's mahasati. Mahasati is that involves the mano, the area at the throat where Luang Por said that's be able to control whether to tell the mind. Mano's job is to train the mind, so it can help train the mind to not follow the bad impulses. And so from mahasati, then you can be, once you have mahasati, then you can continue mahasati more and more to develop jnana. Jnana, as Luang Por talked about, jakku karani, jnana karani. Now you'll be able to start to be able to see things clearly, see things the way they are. And from the jnana, seeing things the way they are, then you start abiding in the third eye area. And as you start abiding there more and more, the jnana would develop to be more wisdom, like panyayana, deeper wisdom. And then finally into panya vimutti, the kind of seeing that is so clear, so fast, and so quick that no matter what happened, it's like water on top of the lotus leaves. Nothing can bring down the mind at that point. So there was a question that Prabhupada had translated, or I had asked on behalf of some. If we want to practice the Brahma Vihara, the four divine abidings, Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekkha, what location, or where's that coming from? And the answer is that if you want to practice Brahmavihara, it needs to be everywhere, inside and out, generating outward, from inward to outward, without any limits, limitless. But the locations come from the tayan, the wisdom eyes.
เพราะฉะนั้นสี่นี่เอากรุณากับอุเบกขาเมตตาต้องตัดออกเพื่อขึ้นโลกุตระ
So with the practice of Brahmavihara, it's the best to practice, emphasize your practice on karuna, having compassion, and upekkha, have equanimity. Because metta, loving kindness, a lot of time when people have loving kindness, it's the kind of well-wishing that sometimes get people in trouble, because you're wishing for things that may not be able to happen. Wanting people to have certain conditions. So therefore, that quality has to be balanced a lot with upekkha, to be able to be equanimous, to be able to remain balanced within your mind when the wishes, the good wishes, doesn't happen. So it's best to focus your Brahmavihara on compassion and equanimity.
เมตตามีทั้งรักทั้งใคร่ปรารถนาเป็นสุขติดอยู่ที่สุขกรุณาสงสารให้พ้นจากทุกข์อุเบกขาปล่อยวางให้หมดทุกอย่าง เมตตายังรักใคร่ปรารถนาเป็นสุขอยู่ยังติดโลกิยสุขบ้างโลกุตระสุขบ้าง
Metta involves wishing other people well, wishing them to be happy, and sometimes this wishing them to be happy, it can be maybe worldly happiness. Sometimes it may be transcendent happiness, but oftentimes that people they caught up into wishing someone well and being disappointed by it. So therefore, when you practice karuna, you have compassion, wanting to see others to be free from difficulties, free from sufferings. And with equanimity or upekkha, you be able to let go, even so that you can maintain equanimous mind state, regardless of what's happening, because it's nothing is under your control. It is with the equanimous mental state, you can reach purity easier than the others.
ตรงนั้นสี่เราปฏิบัติเคร่งครัดอยู่สองข้อกรุณาอุเบกขาเมตตารักใคร่มุทิตาไปยินดีติดความดีอยู่แต่กรุณาอุเบกขาเนี่ยนำให้หลุดพ้น
So among the four Brahmavihara, Metta tend to come with love and attachment. And then mudita, sympathetic joy, still have the attachment to good. You want to rejoice in other people's happiness and good wishes, but it tends to be related or linked to the wholesome, which then also may not happen. And for those who wants to practice to purify one's mind and seeking liberation, compassion and equanimity are most conducive to practice with.
นี่ปัญญาญาณปัญญาวิมุตติ3 อันดับปัญญาญาณปัญญาวิมุตติ
We need to practice to cultivate the 3 levels of wisdom, panya. So wisdom or panya, and then you keep cultivating wisdom until you can cultivate panyayana, wisdom, penetrating wisdom, wisdom of deeper level. And then you keep cultivating panyayana until you can arrive or can practice panya vimutti, the liberating kind of wisdom. The question was, well, what if the emotion that comes up is very strong? It's very strong. It's hard to stay balanced, hard to stay in equanimity when you have something very strong coming up. Luang Por's answer is the best way is to see it through the 3 characteristics of existence. That if you can see whatever coming up, if difficulties, emotions, situations, everything is subject to impermanence by its nature, and everything is subject to dukkha. Dukkha in terms of stress, in terms of things that is hard to bear, and in terms of that is nothing is going to last either. And then at the end, everything, every situation, every emotions is also non-self, anatta. So it's just the functions of nature, the forces of nature that generated by causes and condition, and it will fall away eventually. Prabhupada asked, on behalf of someone, he asked Luang Por to please explain this phrase in a famous phrase in the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, Atapi Sampachano Satima, Vinaya Loke Apicha Domanasa. What they mean from Luang Por Jamnian. And Luang Por explained that Atapi means you making an effort, consistent effort to burn away the kilesa, burn away the greed, hatred, and delusion, and impurity. Sampachano is to be mindful and know inside your body and mind all the time. Be aware what's happening all the time with the real sense experience. And then sati is to develop the mindfulness until it becomes sustained mindfulness. Bring that which would bring the awareness up into the 3rd eyes area. Is to let go of the world labeling, the labeling of the world that is not true. It's to let go of the common, the worldly truth and abide in the transcendent truth instead. The common truth is like there is me, there is mine, there is someone called Amity, there's someone, and then the higher truth is those are not true. There is actually the division that there is me, there is mine, there is them, ultimately that's not true. To be able to let go of that. And let go avijja domanassa is also letting go of ignorance or knowing things wrongly. And letting go of also domanassa is sufferings, unpleasant feeling.
คือเหลือสอง
คะอะไรนะคะ
4 ข้อให้เหลือ2
ค่ะ
สัมปชานโนสติมาเหลือ2 ข้อ
So among these phrases, what you should focus on is sampachano satima. That because that is the causes for the others to happen. If you can bring the awareness into this body and mind at all time and lift up the awareness to create mahasati, then all the other will just happen naturally.
เมื่อถึงมหาสติก็เกิดปัญญาญาณปัญญาวิมุตติสองข้อสติมหาสติปัญญาญาณปัญญาวิมุตติ
When you practice abiding in sati and mahasati, what naturally will follow if you make an sustained effort is panyayana, the mindfulness, the wisdom knowing, and panya vimutti, the liberating wisdom.
ปฏิบัติ4 ข้อนี้ก็ถึงบรรลุผลได้แน่นอนแต่อย่าเลิก
So if you practice these 4 quality, sati, mahasati, panyayana, panya vimutti, you will be able to reach liberation for sure. The caveat is that you need to continue practicing and never give up.
ถ้าเราคิดว่า5 ข้อมันน้อยไม่มาก อย่าคิดให้มากเดี๋ยวเบื่อไม่อยากทำ
Don't think that these 5 qualities is too much to do or too difficult to do. You have to think it's just so simple, because otherwise your mind will try to tell you that it's too difficult, too much, and that it will try to convince you that it's not possible for you to do it, which is wrong. So there was a question from a practitioner and say that if I practice just seeing everything as impermanence, as anicca, is that okay? Is that enough? And Luang Por said, yes. If you can see everything as anicca, as impermanent, it naturally you can't hold on to it. It naturally will let go of your attachment to anything that arises. You would naturally be able to let go and see things as they are, which is everything that ever arises is subject to ceasing, subject to changing. Okay. Ajahn Moody's asked another question that a lot of people seems to ask, because right now we are in a very unusual time. There is this deadly virus raging in the world. A lot of people are worried and concerned. What does Luang Por has any advice for all of us here, so that we can free up our mind, free up our worries to be able to focus on the practice? And Luang Por answer is there's very simple. There's 3 steps. 3 steps. You need to, number 1, accepting things as they are. There is the virus in the world. There is a shutdown in the world. There is a lot of uncertainty in the world. That's just how it is. they are subject to anicca, dukkha, and anatta. These are also a changing condition. It wasn't there, now it's happened there, but it won't be there forever. So if you at any time that you wish things to be otherwise, denying what's the way things are, you are already in dukkha. You are basically asking for dukkha for yourself. So number two, step two is you have to let things play out and time in time. Things is going to play out in time. This conditions is also not going to last forever. And number three is you need to extinguish the dukkha in your mind. Don't try to change the world to be a better world, but change or do not try to change, try to eliminate all the difficulties in the world. It's not possible. One difficulties may be gone, another one will come up. So it's better to deal with the difficulties within your mind.
ให้เรานึกโลกไว้สามอย่างโลกอนิจจังโลกทุกขังโลกอนัตตา
So whenever you think of the world, the condition of the world, you need to know and accept that in summary, the world is subject to these three qualities of anicca, dukkha, and anatta, of impermanence. Nothing is going to be constant. Our lives change one day to another. And dukkha life is stressful. There's sufferings and things are hard to bear. And all the conditions are also not going to be there forever. Whatever arises, it will change. And anatta is everything is non-self. Everything is created by causes and condition, and there is no self behind it. So there was a question asking Luang Por how to practice devanusati, mindfulness of devas or higher celestial beings, heavenly beings. And Luang Por said, to reflect that those who are heavenly beings, higher beings, they have that existence out of their past good deeds, past good karma, to rejoice in their good karma and to appreciate that those causes and conditions leads to good existence, and that will help us shut down the path, the opposite path, which would lead to the four rover realm. So that will help us to not engage into the unwholesome action, unwholesome deeds.
เทวดาไปเป็นด้วยศีลห้าข้อพาไปเป็นเทวดาแว้นในศีลห้าข้อนั้นเลยไปเป็นเทวดา
So if one of the conditions that causes being to take form as a heavenly beings, devas, is to practice observing 5 precepts, to not do any harms to any living beings, not taking that which is not given, to have to not commit to sexual misconduct, to not lie or use false or harmful speech, and to not take drinks or drugs. And these are the qualities that leads people to having heavenly existence.
เรียกกามาวาจรกุศลจิตกามาวาจรกุศลจิต
So these kind of existence is still within the heavenly existence, is still in the realm of sense pleasure, kamavajon, and but it's the kind of the realm of sense pleasure that causes by having wholesome mental states.
พรหมไปด้วยฌานไปด้วยฌาน
The Brahma realm, in order to have existence in Brahma realm, is the causes conditions of Brahma realm is from the practice of stillness or jhana.
อารูปพรหมไปโดยอารูปฌาน
And causes and conditions for ones to have existence as the formless Brahma is to practice formless jhana, formless state of absorptions.
ก่อนพระเจ้าตรัสรู้อารูปพรหมเข้าใจว่านิพพาน
Before the Buddha became enlightened, the formless Brahma in the Brahma realm, in the formless realm, they thought that they were enlightened. Because they were there a long time, they mistook that there was an enlightenment, but it actually was not.
แค่นี้ก่อน
โอเคค่ะ
ขอโชคดีนะ
So Luang Por is leaving us for today, so that's ขอบพระคุณค่ะหลวงพ่อ
หายโรคโชคดีทวีโภคาให้ปัญญาไหลมาเหมือนหาฝน อย่าลำบากยากแค้นอย่าแสนจนจงเป็นคนใจดีมีแต่เมตตาทำอะไรขอให้ได้สมหวังตามปรารถนาเจริญเมตตาภาวนาเรื่อยไป
สาธุสาธุสาธุค่ะเดี๋ยวต้องแปลก่อนนะคะหลวงพ่อso หลวงพ่อ is ready to go to leave to take his meal and he's giving us blessings หายโรคโชคดีทวีโภคาso when to be free from any illness mental or physical to be lucky and to be well endowed with physical belonging that is desirable and may the money flow like big storm that you overwhelmingly flowing to you like you are in big thunderstorm เงินทองไหลมาเหมือนกับหาฝนอย่าลำบากยากแค้นอย่าแสนจนนะคะใช่ไหมคะหลวงพ่อ
ได้
and may you be free from any kind of difficulties be free from poverty แล้วเกิดเป็นคนใจดีไหมคะหลวงพ่อจำไม่ได้ละ
คนใจดีมีมรรคผลนิพพานเบื้องหน้า
and may you all have good human existence and that would lead you to the path and the fruit of nibbana in the future
ให้ถึงนิพพานสมบัติพระนิพพาน
may you all have a fortune to be able to reach the highest treasure of all which is the treasure of nibbana
โอเค
โอเคค่ะหลวงพ่อเดี๋ยวทุกคนจะกราบลาหลวงพ่อนะคะ
ลงไปแล้ว
สาธุครับหลวงพ่อครับ
สาธุสาธุหลวงพ่อ
สาธุ